Good morning. My name's Alexios, Raptor Freak. It's Thursday morning. The Raptors lost to the Mavericks last night in Dallas. Luka Doncic got his season high total for points in the game. He played an absolute great game. Was fantastic to actually see an NBA talent like him do some of the stuff they did, like no look alley-oop passes. Oh my gosh, insane! This guy is really good, and I'm kind of disappointed with how we played him last night, but also, I can't. Geez, he's a top level guy in this league, and I'm in awe of him also to a degree. It was a tough game, honestly. Like very similar to the Miami game in some ways. Just we're a team that is two different things at once, and we need to really understand that at both times, and understand that we're actually way ahead of schedule. Yeah, we're ahead of schedule because honestly, we're doing things that a team that's in development should be doing in their second or third year of development already now. Usually, when a team is in development and they're first starting out, they have to learn how to win again. And there's different stages of learning how to win, whether it's just staying competitive with a playoff top caliber teams like Miami and Dallas. That's something in itself. That's usually a second or third year thing for a young developing team to show that they can actually compete and stay like competitive with them up until the last couple minutes of the game. So we're showing that the kind of development in our first year, really in our first 6 months of showing this team together, is they're learning it already. So they're ahead of schedule, honestly. But part of the problem that's going to be frustrating right now is we're going to see how close these games are and the possibility of us beating these teams. It was very there. And some nights we could be lucky and win games like these last two games if the things happen just right for us, whether we shoot better, we get better opportunities to getting the loose balls, doing a better job hustling and out rebounding and doing different things. That's the thing. We've made so many mistakes in the Miami Heat game and the Dallas Mavericks game that these are things that can get cleaned up over the next year or so as we get better, cohesive together. A lot of this stuff's going to get cleared up. Like we were talking about yesterday, the alley to get to the oop. The oop is not being completed. These are things that will get cleared up. We'll get to learn how the tendencies are to get the alley oops and the transition game better, because that was a huge, ugly part of what the Raptors' ugliness last night was our transition game. There were times when we'd have 2-on-1 breaks, we'd have man advantages on the break, and we'd mess up and not get anything on those trips. These are going to be easy opportunities later down the road when we have better chemistry and synergy between our players, that this stuff will get made up. That these will be areas of improvement that will actually add to our score and make it easier for us to win games like these last two games. Another thing that I saw early in the game that I didn't like that was happening was, and it was specifically with one player, he didn't look like he was fitting in with the offensive scheme. He was not in the right places at the right time because we tried to pass it to him and he wasn't there. Precious, what are you doing? If you're supposed to be in the corner to get a pass from Pascal and he's not able to know where you are exactly, you better be where you're supposed to be in the plan. Because I saw early on there were two offensive plays that got messed up because you weren't in the right spot. So we really need to make sure that our guys are learning our system and knowing exactly where they need to be at certain times. Because when these guys are going in the lane and they're getting hit with double teams, they're going to need to know where you are without maybe probably seeing you, that you just need to be where you're supposed to be. And there was some ugly passing and turnovers in that way. So once again, our turnovers were an issue, and some of them were just dumb turnovers that are going to be able to get fixed and cleaned up at some point. Let's see what's going on. You guys are here this morning. Andrew, let's go. These games just show how close we are to being a legit team. Yeah. Once we get a real bench, we'll be contenders. I like both of those statements. I think this is very true. This is what I'm saying. There are other teams that are like us in the league that aren't even sniffing, getting close to beating teams like this. Like they may be closer, but they really don't have a realistic chance in some ways just because they don't have that kind of experience. And they have to learn at the end of the game incrementally each one of these kind of games come up. Well, okay, we can't do this, or we make this mistake. Now we're making mistakes and we're in the same process, but we're a little bit more advanced than some of these other teams, purely because of our talent and also because of our champion guys. We have a certain level of athleticism and talent that we can coast on. Not that we coast on it, but that is actually part of what's carrying us and making us so competitive against these teams. And then you take into account that we have Fred and Pascal, but right now they're having to play 40 minutes a game. And honestly, this 7-man rotation, 6-man rotation he's doing is really a detriment to our team. As much as it is helping us in present games, it's also a detriment to our team in trying to win these games also at the end. And Fred and Pascal, they said it last night, maybe they were a little tired at the end, but, he's not going to make an excuse for that. Fred is not going to make an excuse for that. And he said in the press conference after the game last night, he makes a couple of his shots last night. Like him and Chris had good open looks at the end of the game for threes. If they had gone down, that game could have been a lot different the way it shook out. And I was upset that Fred was shooting so poorly last night. But you know what? This is the NBA. Guys are going to have off nights. And Fred had an off night last night. Trust me. He had an off night. He wasn't making shots that he would normally make, and we could have counted on him to make more points. But this is going to happen from time to time. We can't expect him to be perfect all the time. And you know what? I love that he didn't give up during the game, even though he was shooting so poorly. He still, in the end of the game, had to hit big three-pointers for us to keep us getting closer and to try and win the game at the end. He did come up for us in a couple of big shots at the end. And, other players would have just gave up because they shot so poorly throughout the game that they wouldn't have the balls to go and shoot those long shots like he did at the end, and actually gave us a good chance to try and win the game. When that possession where we got 2 3-point shots attempts on there and we didn't get anything on that possession, that was the one that really hurt, that killed me, was Chris Boucher had a wide open three that he could have, if he had hit that would have been so monumental, because honestly it would have put us up in the lead, and that could have shifted things really differently at the end of the game last night. And it's too bad. And that's not totally on Chris. Chris has been a shaky 3-point shooter this year already. And you know what? He's been here and there, but it's tough. Sometimes they just don't go in. He was wide open. It could have gone in, and it would have changed the end of the game in a lot of different ways. So it is what it is. Click 2 a.m. Last night felt like one of the worst games of the season. Nick is going to have no choice but to play some bench guys. I know Masai doesn't like mid-season trades, but you can't burn your starters the rest of the season. Look at Caris LeVert, 30 points last night versus the Lakers. We need him on our bench. I know you're talking about LeVert again. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think that it's smart to do this burnout rotation that he's doing. Everybody's talking about it. I watched the Dallas feed last night, listening to Derek Harper call the game, and he's talking about it at the end of the game. It's like these guys are playing 7 guys in the game, and that's it. They're really asking for it, because this is only the midpoint of the season, and there's a lot of time to be played. So we really need somebody to sprout up off the bench and show that they're capable again, and they can be trusted to get these minutes and produce something. And that's got to happen. That's not an if, and, or but. That is just something that has to happen, because we're not going to be able to sustain this kind of minute distribution for the whole rest of the season. They really can't. And I don't know if it's a trade that fixes that, or it's just that somebody on this team starts to play better, from within. And I really hope that it can be guys that we're kind of got in the doghouse right now, because we really need them. And I honestly think that Yuta is going to be back and be an important part of the rotation again. And the thing that they're saying last night, Nick's basically saying, yeah, I'm really happy with the guys who are playing. And I don't think that that's the problem, that I'm playing so few guys, because he says basically when I get Gary back and I get Kim back, I get 2 more bodies to add to that 7-man rotation. And that maybe he's just waiting for everybody to be completely healthy to have a full entire starting lineup and bench. So he's thinking Kem and Gary come back, then he has 9 guys he can play. Well, I hope that he can add Yuta to that group at least somewhere, because honestly, he said it in the last week, it's his conditioning, and hopefully he can bust through and get back into being a relevant rotation player for us again. The other guys, it'd be great too. Like, obviously, we love Speed to be doing something too. Also, if he could get out of there and do something more productive and be more trusted on the court again, that would be great. I'm not sure about Malachi and Delano. He's going to get his spots when they need him for situational reasons right now. He's not really in the same kind of boat as those other guys. Let's see. Click2AM says, how do we make trades if our bench has no value? There's a reason we don't play them. We're screwed, man. I'm so disappointed in Malachi Flynn. Yeah, I mean, I can't really argue with this kind of stuff, but once again, we're not really kind of a trade kind of team. Like, we really kind of do with what we have, and we kind of just make guys appear from nowhere, whether it's signing somebody or bringing somebody completely new. We don't like interacting with other teams to make trades unless it's really beneficial, for sure. And the part of the problem is, you're right, we have guys that aren't really that attractive to trade. Like, whether it's Goran, whether it's any of those guys you mentioned. People are saying that Chris Boucher's on the trade block this week, partly because he's playing so well. I hate that, because honestly, we don't need to move him just because he's the only one who's playing well. But yeah, listen, we've got to be patient. We've got to be patient in all kinds of different ways, whether it's way Nick Nurse is doing a 7-man rotation, whether it's these bench guys getting their heads out of their ass, whether it's us starting to win games like these ones recently. Like, we have to be patient. It may not be this year that we win close games against top playoff teams, that we may need to go through this learning process to get to the next echelon, the next level of this is how you beat playoff teams in close games, like that kind of mentality, and that we need to relearn this to a degree. But at least we're not going all the way to the bottom as a rebuild team and having to learn everything over and over again, like how to compete with playoff teams in the first place, because we can do that already. And that's what we should be looking at and feeling good about, because that's the thing. We may not be getting W's right now, but we're at least hanging with the top teams in the league. These are the top teams in the league we've been seeing this week. Teams like Milwaukee, Phoenix, Miami, and now last night, Dallas. Dallas is probably playing the top caliber basketball that they played this entire year. Like, they're on a roll right now. They're the best defensive team in the league. And there's a good reason why our offense had trouble at times and sputtered against their team, is because they're doing it to everybody right now. They showed all these stats last night about the first 22 games of the season for Dallas and the second 22 games of the season for Dallas, and they're playing out of their minds as far as defensively. So we really do need to give a lot of credit to our team for holding them down near us with their offense also, because often they go crazy offensively and hold the other team down defensively. But we were matching them defensively. We really were, and holding them down with their points and making it hard for them to score. There were so many great possessions for us defensively where we really held the Mavericks in check as best as we could. And that says a lot with the offensive kind of player that Luka Doncic is out there. And we couldn't control him. I was hoping that he would still be cold from three-point land, but he found his three-point shot again last night, and he started hitting it again, and that was big trouble for us. That was big trouble for us. And you see, when he's hitting his three with getting to the line and getting free throws and doing all the stuff he does in the lane, that's how he gets 40 points and gets his season high for the year in points, because he's hitting on all cylinders. And it's tough. We had a hard time dealing with Porzingis at times last night. And then, of course, that regular old Raptor killer, that junior Tim Hardaway. Oh, gosh, man, you bug me so much, man, because it seems like you have horrible games most of the time. But whenever the Raptors are playing you, you get double digits and play out of your mind. And it's really annoying. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a Raptor killer. It was really those three guys that really killed us the most last night. And I can live with that because, honestly, Porzingis is a freak. And, you know, to a degree, we had success against him at times, but at times he was hitting his shot, which really hurt us. When he's not hitting his shot, he can be it's a lot easier. But when he's actually dead eye and he's hitting his shot, he's really hard to stop. And then, you know, Luka is Luka. Luka is Luka, and he does get a lot of preferential treatment from the refs. There was a little bit of ref manipulation last night that I didn't like. They were continuing to do a little bit of the lane violating, but not really. But the one ref, he was doing the thing where he holds the ball before he gives it to us to inbound it after they've scored, and it allows the Dallas Mavericks to get down court and set their defense. I hate that. I hate that when the ref's holding it and Fred's like, give me the ball. I want to inbound it. Give me the ball. And he's holding it. They're holding the ball and allowing Dallas to get down and get set on their defense. There's no transitional opportunity for us to try and catch them not set. And they did that at least twice in the first half. I noticed it, but it wasn't as much later. And the calls were pretty fair for the most part. I still hate how they review calls that look like flagrants, like that one with Precious last night. And it is a flagrant, but they still say it's a common foul. They stop the game, they stop all the momentum, and then they go and watch TV for 5 minutes, and then they still just come back with the same thing. It was kind of bullshit, honestly. And really the decision with that Precious call was, do we want to give the Raptors 2 free throws and the ball? And they didn't. And that was why they said it's just a common foul, which is shady in itself. Because honestly, if it was another team, I think they would have called the flagrant with what happened with Precious in that moment. Because the way that he came down on him, Kleber, it was very heavy-handed and was unnecessary. And that's really what the rule is. If you have unnecessary extra contact, that's a flagrant. And that's what was going on in that play. All right, let's keep going. Click's still talking about Malachi. Malachi's been in the NBA for a full year and has not had a game where we can say he's a player of the game. That's not totally true. We got to remember what he did last year. There were times where he played in COVID Tampa games where he had to start. He had to play like starters minutes. He played like 30, 40 minutes a game, and he actually would produce. He had some games where he almost got 30 points last year. He scored like 20-something points. So he's shown that he can produce. That's part of what's frustrating right now this year is that he showed a certain level in his rookie year of aptitude and strength with handling the ball and being a playmaker and shooter as a rookie. And now in his second year, it's kind of regressed. It's not there like it was. And that's what's so disappointing to me right now, because I saw the signs of it with him last year. The confidence, the ability to hit big shots, the ability to be a playmaker and distribute the ball. And this year it's just kind of, But this is the thing. Nick is letting them sit and marinate and think about their situation on the bench right now. And really what happens is, and this is what they said last night, Harper said it himself, that these guys on the Raptors team, when they get another opportunity, they really have to jump on it and play out of their minds. Fred said it in the press conference afterwards too. And that's really what's going to happen. When they get these opportunities, we're going to see each one. And they're going to not all at once. It's going to be like, okay, Justin's getting his run right now, but then eventually they're going to add Yuta into the mix and give him his next tryout. And he's got to be like 8 Mile minute. Like he's got to lose himself. Like Eminem would say, he's got to, in the moment. He can't let it go. He's got it's one chance, kind of thing. And he's got to get out there and play out of his mind. Now, if he doesn't, then, you try Speed next and you let him have his opportunity, his tryout. So it's really, we're going to try each one out periodically coming up in the next couple of weeks. And hopefully one of them will find success and get their foot in the door and be able to be put in the rotation confidently again. And that's really what's going to happen. It may be that he can't play them too much. Give them a little bit at a time, get a little bit of confidence and build it that way. Because right now, these guys have no confidence right now in some way. And it really is that they played like dog shit. And they've had, it's really their fault in some ways. Like Svi needs to shoot to make his shots. He cannot miss his shots. That's so important for him. Same with Yuta. Yuta gets a little more of a leash just because he does so much more with energy, rebounding, and things like that. But these guys need to make their shots and they need to produce points. Because these goose eggs, when they come out, are looking really, really bad. And even Justin's not scoring enough right now for my liking. And boy, did he really stink it up in the fourth quarter for us. Like we saw rookie mistakes by Justin with that series of fouls on Luka and putting us in the penalty so early in the fourth quarter really did fuck us up a bit in the end, because that really gave them an easy opportunity to be able to score points. It's all that they had to do was give the ball to Luka and get him into some contact. And then he's getting the free throw line, and that's buckets, because the man's making his free throws. So that was a bad fuck up by Justin in the beginning. But we can't get too mad at him because he's a rookie. And also, Luka pinpointed him. He went after him to get that kind of thing to happen. That was a very deliberate thing. And in some ways, that's really smart kind of veteran kind of stuff. So let's keep going. See what else Click's saying. Our starters are running out of gas. The gas station is closed. That's a pretty good joke, Yeah, I don't know what more to say about that. I kind of just explained how hopefully this will get turned around. If a move happens and we do get some sort of better bench player to come in and just be a scorer off the bench, like a Tyler Hero kind of player, that'd be great. But I'm not holding my breath. Like, honestly, I don't think that our team is going to make a move. And I think that everybody's going to be like, why didn't we make a trade and all this stuff? And I think it's fine. What we got to do is just not panic, stick to the plan, and allow for a development and failure. That's what we're doing right now. And honestly, our failure looks good. It's like successful failure right now. That's what I'm calling it. Because, look, if we were getting blown out by 15, 20 points, if we weren't even competing in these games right now, I'd be worried. But that's not the case. We're playing at a high level with high-level teams, and we're just not figuring out a way to close the deal at the end of the games. And that may be partly fatigue because of a shortened rotation. It may be partly also that we just need to get more experience as a collective group to be able to do it. And another part of it is we're making too many mistakes throughout the game that add up to us losing. And that if we clean up a lot of these mistakes, which are very clean upable mistakes, they're things that we can just get right, that we're going to get even better and better. So it's kind of like we're at this floor right now where we compete with good teams, but we really don't know what we're doing completely. Well, think about it when we finally figure out what we're doing in the last couple minutes of the game as a whole. I know Fred knows what he's doing. I know what Pascal knows what he's doing, but not necessarily Precious or Scotty in the late game situations, whether it's Matadoring Luka this way or something like that. There was really bad defense on that one play. Nick Nurse freaked out when Luka made that last three and really put the Scotty and a couple of guys were just not getting the defensive Luka right, and he was way wide open. And Luka hit the shot, and then Nick Nurse was like, "What the fuck are these guys doing?" He basically said that. Like, you could hear him on the telecast. Nick Nurse going, "What the fuck are these guys doing?" Yeah, because they blew their assignment at one of the most crucial points in the game. And that's when you have a rookie out there, this kind of stuff will happen, and he's got to learn. It's not that this is going to be like this forever. It's like he's going to make rookie mistakes, and he's going to learn from them. Like, they're going to show him the tape, and I'll bet you he won't make the same mistake that he made last night with Luka and letting him get that shot ever again, hopefully. So that's what it's saying. It's like growing pains, it's learning experiences, it's learning the mistakes, it's understanding. Like, look, we talked about free throws all week. Missing free throws does add up to a problem, but there's also missing defensive assignments at certain times, missing box outs so that the other team gets a second chance point and they get an extra basket here. There's all kinds of different little things we can clean up, and we're going to be bad as fuck when we do. So we can't give up on this team right now. The team has, this is what they're saying too. It's such a weird limbo in between kind of like, place that we're in. We could see ourselves possibly being a winning team, but we're not yet. It's just that edge, that little bit we can push us over the edge. And then finally, boom, we're going to be winning games left and right because we have a purposeful plan, and we're winning because we know what we're doing. Right now, we kind of don't know exactly what we're doing. Half of us don't. Half of us do. And so it's a lot of all that. Let's see what's going on. All right, now that you guys got a bunch of comments, I'll start reading them here. Click's also saying, I'm very concerned for Scotty. Foul trouble once again, and he literally gave up on that last shot by Luka. I'm scared it will affect his confidence. I don't think this is going to affect his confidence. He played a good game. Honestly, there were moments where Scotty did his little dominant stuff. Like, I love how he backed Luka down and made that shot over him in the lane in the second half. Like, that is more foretelling of the future than him blowing that assignment on Luka and letting him shoot that three. Look at the play where he took one of the best players in the league and backed him down and shot it right over him. That is more indicative of what we should expect in the future than him messing up, because he's going to learn what he did wrong defensively and fix it. He's been doing that all season already. Like, they've been messing up in different places, him and Precious, and doing different things, and then they change it and they learn from it. And I don't think Listen, Scotty's confidence is really good, considering that he's gone and done some of the things he's done this year at a vet level, being a rookie. So I'm not worried about Scotty's confidence. In fact, I love this article that just came out this week about Masai Ujiri telling Stanley Johnson that you're a bad basketball player. That's the thing about our team is they're not cuddling and cradling these players. They're real with them. And they will tell them, Fred will tell him straight up after the game, like, look, when you messed up that coverage on Luka, you might have cost us the game. And they can talk to him in a very frank way about it, in an adult way, not poo-poo it, and just say, like, look, you need to do this better, and you will get better. And he wants that. Scotty wants that. Because if he gets that kind of instruction, it's better instruction than people being yes men and saying, oh no, Scotty, you're great, man. We love you. You're great. No, he wants them to be really critical and harsh and honest with him, because that's the only way he will get better. So I think that's the situation that's happening. And listen, I'm not worried about his confidence. Listen, that's one thing about Scotty that I'm not ever going to worry about, because this kid has confidence out the wazoo with like the way he operates out there. It's just evident. So it's really that. Like, they're going to need to be constructive criticism with him and just tell him where he needs to fix things. And hopefully it'll change. And we won't see these kind of breakdowns at the end of the game. Because this has happened actually in the last two games. In Miami and Dallas, our rookie being in the game at the end of the game has hurt us in our defense. Yeah. So that's going to get cleaned up. This is, like I said, these are all things that get cleaned up, and we just get better and better. It's just that we're at a weird point where we were hurt. We were a losing team. Now we're a 500 team, and we're losing and winning. But, it's going to be this next stretch coming up is going to be very games. The ones we just did going back to Phoenix were really hard. I'll even include that Detroit game just because of the way it shook out. And, now Washington, we beat them twice already. We're going to play them tomorrow. Our last game against them is 2-1 in the series. We lost that horrible game opening of the season, but we beat them both the times we've seen since then. And they're not as good as they were when they beat us in the opening night at this point, even though they have all of their players back. They're completely healthy right now. And, I fully expect us to kick the shit out of them tomorrow night. And then the next couple games, they're against teams that are right near us in the playoff picture, as far as Charlotte and things like that coming up. And these are must-win games. And these are very gettable games. Like, I'd like to see us go on like some sort of 5-game win streak starting tomorrow night. And I really think we can. It's just we got through these really, really tough road playoff team games on this road trip. And I was hoping we could do better on this road trip. But if we win tomorrow night, that's 2 out of 5. That's still, it's better than getting 1 out of 5. So we really need to win tomorrow night for sure. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. I want to see what else you guys are saying. Callie. Good morning, Callie. Good to see you always. I felt the team played well. Good defense. Seemed like too many fouls on Luka hurt us. Yeah, he's a golden boy. You just breathe on him. It's like LeBron. You're going to get a foul put on you just being too close to him in proximity at some points. And honestly, I thought we did okay against him at times. I felt like OG was doing some stuff to him at different times. We showed different looks on him. Scotty wanted to guard him. You could tell Scotty was very anxious and eager to say, I'm guarding Luka Doncic right now. And he had different results, like whether success or failure. Obviously, he had major failure near the end. But for the most part, Scotty was kind of giving him a lot of trouble. And it was really interesting to see these guys try and play him full court and how quick we got fouls picked up on that kind of situations. That's right there. It's like if Luka's bringing the ball up full court and Justin or Scotty is bugging him, you saw how many times they call fouls on our guys, just getting close to him, or even, they wouldn't do that to most players. It's because it's Luka. Yeah, it's because it's Luka. They touch fouls are going to get called and stuff like that. And it's too bad. It's just what it is. Click saying Luka Doncic ruins the joy of basketball. How could you enjoy watching him? He literally sells the game with all of his BS foul calls, and then he has that smile on his face. Yeah, when things don't go Luka's way, he cried like a baby. And you guys are talking about his smirk. I know the smirk. Luke smirks because he knows he gets BS fouls. Yeah, he is kind of a smug punk. You're right. And maybe I hate him more now because of Dragic in a way too. But listen, Luka's bad as fuck. I'm sorry. Like that one pass, that pass in the beginning in this first half to me was just phenomenal. The fact that I've never seen a no-look alley-oop pass like that. That is amazing. And I have to respect that. I'm sorry to a degree. But you're right. There is a certain part of his game that is reprehensible as far as like the overacting, the expectation of getting calls, the expectation that refs are going to treat him a certain way, the way he talks to them, the way he carries himself on the court. He's so young still, and he is very arrogant. And he hasn't won anything yet. This is part of the reason why I don't like the way the NBA anoints golden boys like Ben Simmons, Zion Williamson, this guy, Luka, because they get in their head and they act bigger than they've already earned. Now, granted, he's been in big playoff battles. He's never won jack shit. So you know what? I think that you need to be like not, I think that Fred and Pascal deserve to rock around with your swagger more than you do, just because they have something on their finger and you don't. So that's the difference there that I don't necessarily agree with. That sometimes guys get anointed before they've actually earned anything. And even Giannis got anointed before he actually earned it, to me. And then he went and got a championship. Now he's earned it to me. So, Luka, until you get a ring, man, you ain't that to me yet. All right. And it is true what y'all are saying. He's cocky. His smirk is annoying. And he does expect things from the refs. And he probably does get to manipulate them a certain amount with what he says to them and stuff like that, because the NBA is going to treat him like they do with LeBron or Michael in the past, where they don't want him to get into foul trouble because he's part of what drives the money, the revenue of the league. So they want him in the game. They want him playing. So you won't see him in fouling out very often. No, you won't. Let's keep going. Andrew, but to be honest, we can't blame the refs at this point. We simply have no bench. Our guys have not stepped up. Yeah, the refs were subtly manipulating things in dumb ways, but honestly, Washington's a great lead ref. Tom Washington's a great lead ref. I have no problem with him. The one ref that was holding the ball for inbounds, he's this weird George W. Bush sounding guy. He's annoying. And yeah, that was manipulative. But yeah, no, we can't blame, because that's part of the terrain. We understand the referees could always be a factor, and that's just something else we have to overcome. So we don't necessarily blame them unless it's a very blatant play that has a huge impact on the game, like stuff like Ed Malloy might do. So usually, no, we can't blame the refs, and we can't honestly blame the other team in some ways, because we had our shots last night. We had our opportunities to hang with them, and in the clutch moments, we didn't show up. And that's the thing. We're having different results on this road trip with the clutch, whether it's Milwaukee and the way Pascal went crazy with the clutch, and we did execute and do really well in the last 5 minutes. And then last night in Miami, we had trouble. And partly that's because they have super great defenses, and they really turn it on at the end of the game. They make it completely impossible for us to try and do stuff to a degree, just with their intensity and the way they're playing the defense. And we also have to realize that both of those teams are playoff teams that have experience in playoff atmosphere, that intensity on defense. And that's part of the difference too, is that our guys, half of them have done it, half of them really haven't. And that's a huge factor in what we're talking about. Experience and get over the hump as a developing team, beating these kind of playoff intensity defenses at the end of the game, because that means your offense has to go up to a whole other level. That means that Pascal's got to play out of his mind. Fred's got to hit these crazy 28, 26-foot 3-point shots. All that kind of stuff has to happen. So let's keep going. Yeah, we can't blame the refs. Click 2 a.m. Scotty literally walked away from Luka after the step back. I think that he thought he was driving. He bought the fake. And that's why fakes like him and Fred's little step in back shoot of the three is a really effective little move, because these guys are actually buying it. I think that Scotty, as a rookie, made a rookie mistake. He bought the fake that he was going to drive on him, and he was moving to cover him driving, and he just took the quick step back and hit the three. That's honestly what happened there. That Scotty was trying to do the right thing. It wasn't that he was being lazy. It's just that he actually bought the fake and thought he was going to drive on him. And he didn't. He stepped back and he shot the three instead. So that's tough. He's done that to many players in the league. And, maybe it's a rite of passage. It's an initiation for Scotty to have Luka do a step back three fake on him. And maybe hopefully remember that, and he'll make a better decision next time that happens, because yeah, it's tough. Scotty had 3 fouls by the second quarter, shaking my head. Yeah, that's tough. They've got to, he's got to figure out how to limit that, but also understand that he wanted to guard Luka early. He did that kind of thing where he said, I want to guard Chris Middleton. He comes to coach and he picks a guy on the other team and he says, Nick, can I guard this guy for the game? Pretty sure he was saying he wanted to guard Luka. Well, be careful what you wish for, Scotty, because you might get yourself in foul trouble. In some ways, I'd rather our veteran guys guard Luka. You know, I know this may be an ego thing, or you just want to try stuff out as a rookie and you want to feel the feeling of it. But maybe it's better if we put more of our vet guys on him. You don't get in foul trouble, and then maybe you have a better offensive game overall, or do more for us throughout the whole game because you're not saddled with foul trouble. And then you have to sit on the bench for different periods and get taken out of the game. So I think that is the trade-off there. And maybe Nick needs to be a little bit more like not controlling, but just say, Scotty, you know what? I want to save you for this game. I don't want to put you on Luka because I know he's going to get you in foul trouble. Something like that. That would make more sense to me, because, like, honestly, that was part of it. Because out of all those guys that played so many minutes last night, Scotty only played 28, and the rest 30, 40 minutes. And that was foul trouble. And I think that was what you're saying there, that, you know, the 3 fouls by the second quarter, it limited his time overall in the whole game. Andrew, this year will be the most painful development year of the rebuild, and it isn't even that bad. We're a 500 team and is a developing team. That's good. Yes, that's a good perspective. And honestly, the most painful year for our development year was last year, guys. Last year was probably other than the really ugly 20-win seasons of the early Raptors franchise, last year was the worst season the Raptors have ever had in their entire history. And it was the hardest season. You know, being away from Toronto, having to deal with COVID, having to deal with, like, building yourself up and then having COVID ravage your team. And then all of a sudden your whole hopes for the whole year are dashed, and then losing your greatest player of all time and the offseason after that, and not getting to say a proper goodbye. You know, that last year was the worst year. Trust me. This year is not anything compared to last year in some ways. It's frustrating, and there's different issues with this year, but it's really, last year was the worst part of our development, was having to hit that rock bottom of last year, because we're on our way up from that already. And you can see the improvement from last year to this year already. And it's partly in personnel, but it may be that we just don't have enough personnel that are at the level that we need. And that could be the thing that we improve this offseason. Sometimes it's like you can be like Indiana and what's happening with them. They have their roster. They're kind of maxed out with who they can have on there with, like, salaries. They don't have any room for improvement like we do. We cut a couple of our bad bench guys. We can get new guys, new blood, and we all of a sudden we're better. But because Indiana's already built to the top and they're kind of, this is what we got, they have to tear it all down and rebuild. So in a way, that's really good that half of our team isn't good, because these are real easy guys to cut and retool and get improvements in those spots. Just think about it that way. We keep all of our guys that are already on contract. Hopefully we re-sign Chris this summer. If we don't get any of the other guys back, we have to get new guys. And hopefully we can use the $19 million of Goran Dragic towards, like, a really good bench vet that can come in and make our bench stable in the offseason. So it may not happen in the trade deadline or around right now. It may not happen during this year, but this will get addressed this summer. And we can expect something better for next year. And think about that. If we don't lose anything from this year and we just add on top of it in the way that I'm talking about, think about that. Then see where we are next year. Oh, yeah. So it's like, really, we got to be patient. But we see the carrot in front of us as donkeys, and we're like, oh, we want to bite it. But we're not there yet. We got to wait. We got to go a little further down the journey, and then we'll be able to feast and enjoy the fruits of what's happening now. It's just right now we got to have some disappointment, some losses, some close lessons of the team learning all together what they got to do. And it's really, they got to clean up their mistakes throughout the whole 48 minutes and make their free throws and not blow defensive assignments at crucial times. These are all part of it. So, all right, let's see where you guys are at here. Andrew, you're completely right. We're a 500 team, and that is good. Click 2 a.m. If we have a clone of Gary Trent Jr. on the bench, we would win so much more. in some ways, I really think that maybe at this point, because Gary's been out so long, he may need to start back from the bench. Like, I know people may be like, what? No, start him. Yeah, why not? Because he may solve some of these bench scoring problems, and somebody's going to have to go back to the bench. And I don't necessarily want it to be Precious. And at this point, since Scotty wants to win Rookie of the Year, he seems like he's going to have to start. So it may be because Gary's been out for like what? He's been out for a lot of games at this point. His conditioning, and maybe you have to put him on the bench, and he may have to earn that starting spot again. But this could be a very helpful problem that he may be the issue on the bench fixed, because he's the guy who comes in and is coming off the bench for us and helping us with offense off the bench. I don't know. We'll see what Nick does, see how it all shakes out. There's no guarantees, obviously. So we'll see what's going to happen there. Yeah, it's been real frustrating, Callie. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm honestly very happy with where we're at this point in time, with everything that's happened and everything. Like, considering that we are 500 now, with everything with injuries and like, fans not being in the building, whether like, we've caught teams with like when they don't have their superstars, but then we've also caught teams at really bad times when they have had everybody and they've been rolling. So it's like, it really is partly that. It's like, do you see these trains coming in the station? Sometimes you could see Dallas and they may be on a mini slump and then they're ripe for the picking. But then when you get them on the roll like they're on right now, it's really hard to beat them. So that's kind of part of it with all the different records for different teams right now. It's really tough. All right, let me see. All right, you went a little ahead. The development is happening in the G League, but at some point you need these guys to play real NBA minutes. Yeah, you really do. And honestly, it's like, how did they play so well at the beginning of the season to be so bad now? Like, Svi was a completely different player in the first month of the season. Yuta was great for a big period there. And Malachi, honestly, he hadn't really been that good all year himself. But, it's tough. But, like, also, when do you pull that trigger and say, I'm going to give you another chance? Don't make me regret it, and put them out there. I'd like to see him start trying at least one of them every game soon. Because we can't do this. We can't do this 45 minutes for Pascal and Fred every single game. We can't do this like all these guys playing so much like this. Although they're saying they want to and they can do it. And reasoning is they're young guys. They have young legs. They bounce back better. They're not like these old vets that need more guys around them. They can do it. He thinks they can do it. Turn them out like this. But who knows? Maybe he's right. Maybe he won't. But it does also factor in the possibilities of, more chance for injury if you're overplaying guys and stuff like that, and all kinds of other dumb things that can happen if you're overplaying guys. It is much more a luxury to have a bigger rotation than a tighter, smaller rotation. I don't agree with playoff rotations. I think that if teams can develop a 10-man rotation where guys are all helpful and contributing and not a problem, that is a really good strength to have. Because then you can plug in and play guys situationally, and there's definitely nobody's getting gassed, and you can keep guys not tired. And in some ways, that's been a strength that Miami and Dallas has used against us in the last two games, is their role players and different benches have come in and given enough rest. They're much more fresher than our guys. And that's tough. It's tough to do. It's a really tough balance that he's trying to do right now. But I don't totally agree with how heavy he's leaning on the short rotation and not giving the other guys chances. Like, even just put them in for like 2 or 3 minutes and give them at least 1 or 2 shots and see if they hit it. And then give them a little more rope then. But he's not even doing that right now. He's not even – it really is he's building up the appetite. He's building up the hunger to play and succeed in these guys. And it's smart. He's done it to other people in the past. He did it Chris Boucher many times in the last 4 years, and it has worked. So hopefully this will work at this time. I don't know how long he's going to leave them on the oven cooking like this to get ready to come in. But, hopefully he'll let somebody in soon. I think Yuta will be the first one. And hopefully it'll happen like sometime in the next 3 games, because they really do need to start thinking about this more. All right, let's keep going. Imagine us next year. Scotty, Gary, and Precious could each make at most improved player leaps next year. Yeah. Most improved players usually become all-stars the same year. Precious is not going to be an all-star. We don't know that, though, Click. I mean, honestly, Precious could be an all-star at some point in his career. Honestly, seriously. he has some offensive skills that could get developed and just different things like that. But it is not likely. You're probably right. But, the most improved thing, once again, these awards don't mean jack shit to me. I just want to see everybody improve to a certain increment every year, whether it's Pascal getting to be more clutch and more all around, Freddie a better leader, more clutch at the end of games, OG just more cleaning up his footwork and looking more like not as awkward. They all can improve in different ways. So the thing is that these guys are all trying to improve. Other teams have guys that just aren't trying to get better. They're just like, I'm in the NBA. I made it. I'm getting money. I can just coast at this point. None of our guys are coasting. They're all trying their hardest and doing their best to try and get better and better and better at every level. And that's going to show more and more with this team. Like, that's the thing. We've got a plant in a pot, and it's only a little certain growth. But over the summer, it could go even bigger. And all of a sudden, our plant could be like huge, like even by grow in leaps and bounds by next year, end of the season still even. So keep paying attention to that. I wouldn't count Precious out for that necessarily, but it's not likely. You're probably right, Click. Right now, we are tied with the Celtics. It's unfortunate, but you know what? We can bounce up. We need to win Washington tomorrow. We've beaten them twice out of 3 times already this season. So I think we got a good chance tomorrow. And we have a better guys even in some of the games that we beat them in already this season. I know they're full strength, and Washington's a weird team that doesn't necessarily work. So we'll see what's going on. I'll do a better preview tomorrow. But, yeah, we need to not go below 500, and that starts tomorrow with a must win. Okay, our defensive rebound was pretty bad in the clutch. Yeah, I mean, they did get some second chance shots, but overall, our rebounding looked phenomenal once again with those guys out there. Like, there's that point, Justin tipped the ball to Chris, and he put it back. Like, guys are getting their hand on the ball. They're active, and they're out there. And the other thing we got to remember is Dallas is a really rebounding team. Like, having Porzingis out there really changes a lot of things with the rebounding and stuff. And I thought we hung with them really well. If anything, we can say we are fighting and battling and working hard. These guys aren't dogging it. These guys aren't lazy. These guys aren't losing because of those kind of things. They're working their ass off to try and win. Some of it is that they just don't have the correct experience in the moment, and they make bad mistakes, rookie mistakes, or just like a lapse of judgment and then a poor decision in the moment. And that stuff's going to happen to a degree with every team. But, we could have rebounded better at the end of the game. I agree with that. Raps are the least experienced collectively in the league. Learning to close out comes with time. That's the thing. And we're ahead of it already. Like, honestly, if you look at the other teams that have experience comparable to us right now, they're not even close to this kind of competing with top teams, with playoff teams. That's the perspective we have to have, is understand how far ahead we are where we are with what we're doing. Because I don't think that most people are able to really assess what the Raptors are supposed to be this year. They all have different ideas, whether they think we're supposed to be a garbage team or we're supposed to be way better or this or that or this. We're exactly what we're supposed to be right now. And it may be frustrating and tough to deal with, but honestly, we're in such a great place. Because if you think about where our floor is right now with developing, if we're only going to get better, that means we're going to jump from being a 500 team to like a really good playoff team pretty soon. So we just got to be patient, take the growing pains, the lumps, and keep moving, because we're on our way, y'all. And the future is so bright for us. We just need to persevere and get through this stuff and keep learning, and we're going to be fine. We're going to be so good, honestly. Like, in the next 2 years, it's going to be nasty. The more they know each other, it's just going to be better and better. All right, click 2 a.m. Have to move my car. Be right back. Okay. All right. Yeah. I hope you don't have to shovel it out or anything like that. This snow's a little bit better. It's starting to melt a bit. Tom Duke, really was a shootout in the Dallas Corral. We needed a couple more rifles that could hit the broadside of the barn. I love that, man. You're right. It was a shootout. That's the thing. And even the Dallas Mavericks commentators were so complimentary of the Raptors last night. They were saying all these things. Kind of what I'm saying is that this isn't a normal young team. This team, that game was like a playoff style game. The amount of lead changes, how close it was the time. It was a very much like a playoff intensity kind of game in the middle of the season. And we made Dallas work for that win. We really, really did. So, it's interesting that like we're bringing that out in a lot of teams. Like the Miami game was the same thing. Whenever somebody's playing us right now, they have to play with the playoff intensity because that's just the way we bring it ourselves. And that is a really good thing. That's going to really be a good thing for us in the long run. But yeah, we could have used some better shooters in the game last night. When Fred's not hitting his shot, it really hurts us because he's so crucial and important as a shooter for us. That if he's not hitting his shot, and Pascal wasn't hitting his shot very well at times too. OG was okay at times. I mean, the only two guys who got 50% last night were OG and Precious. Precious shot 50%, 5 for 10 also. And, Precious made some mistakes last night, but honestly, he was really good again last night. I love what he's doing out there. And I know it looks ugly and he makes careless turnovers here and there, but he's doing so much more important things for us, whether it's defensively, rebounding, that I think are just more important in some ways than him looking bad and dribbling off his foot or not being in the right spot when a pass is supposed to go to him and stuff like that. That stuff's all can be fixed really easy. That stuff that can be fixed easy. I'm sure they fix it today. Like, Precious, you got to stay in that corner. When Pascal's going to throw you the ball, you got to be in the corner because that's where he's going to expect you to be. You can't be coming in like that. So they're going to fix it. They're going to fix a lot of that kind of stuff. Callie, I'm just thankful we get to watch them play and that we're competitive. You know what? That's amazingly right. Gratitude is always the best attitude. That when, we could have a shutdown and not even have any NBA on TV. It could be like the bubble. We could have the team in Tampa still. There are all kinds of different levels of gratitude we need to have right now. And think about this. I heard yesterday that I think Ontario is going to open up for January the 31st. So I don't know how quickly we can get capacity and maybe have people in the building for February 1st when Kyle Lowry returns. So let's have gratitude. We're going to have a lot of gratitude when the fans are welcome back in the arena and we can actually be there again with them. So it's like we go without things to learn what it's like without them. Then when we get them, we really appreciate them. And that's with anything in life, in our everyday lives too. We need to think about it that way. I love that sentiment, Callie. Gratitude is always the best way to go because it builds more positive and great things in your life when you think about the things that you're happy about. And I am thankful for that too. I am so thankful for that. That has been one of my biggest fears this year, is that this season would just get stopped at some point because of this stupid Omicron and all this other crap that's going on. So, all right, let's keep going. Andrew, think about how long it took for Kyle and DeMar to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that was carrying scrubs like Louis Scola, Patrick Patterson, and Damari Carroll. I wouldn't call all those guys scrubs. I really like Patrick, but Louis Scola maybe, and Damari did kind of play like a scrub when he played for us. But you're exactly right. The small, slow climb that DeMar and Kyle started in like the early 2010s, look how long it took for them to build to get back to that level. And we're already kind of going hyperspeed on this. Like, we should be a playoff team this year. And let's see how well we learn lessons in the playoffs of the intensity, what it takes. Like the first playoff game that this group plays, we may lose because they don't understand how much different it is than the regular season. And this is a common thing for young teams to learn when they get in the playoffs for the first time. So, but we could be better in some ways because we have a hybrid. We have some guys that do know and they've gone all the way. And that's the weird thing. That's why it's so hard to gauge us, is we have championship caliber players that still have a championship mentality mixed with rookies and young guys that don't know everything about the game, and they have to go through those rites of passages themselves, like Scotty Barnes and Precious Achua. So, but we'll see, like over the next couple of years, this may not be take as long as what's taken for Kyle and DeMar, that Fred and Pascal may be able to replicate what they did in a shorter amount of years. Like, who knows? They could be a very high-level playoff team next year. I don't know about this year. This year, let's get past the first round. I'll be very happy. We could get past the second round. Wow, I'll be like overjoyed. But, I'm not, if we get the championship, that's amazing. But that's the thing we got to keep perspective on, is think about how it took other teams and their schedule of how they got to different places. And also you got to think about, sometimes teams can be really good, like the Portland Trailblazers, for a long time, and they get nowhere because they're just stuck in a situation in their conference where they're just always going to be below certain teams in their division and stuff like that. Whereas we have an ability to jump and leap above every single team in the East, eventually. I don't care if it's Brooklyn. I don't care if it's Chicago. We have this talent, and we just add to what we've already got. We're going to be above them in the next 2 years. Oh, yeah, I believe it. But there's ceiling for other teams like Indiana and Portland is already there. They can't go any higher, so they have to rebuild. That's the stuff I'm talking about. Our ceiling is nowhere to scratch the surface. So we're really, really got a long way to go, but also we can get there quicker. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, Andrew, this is year one of the Pascal and Fred era. Give them a few years to develop chemistry. Yeah. And it's really with the new guys. The chemistry between Fred and Pascal is amazing. OG, same thing. But the other guys need to get that. They need to get that. And that comes with playing with each other for like 3 or 4 years. And we don't have that. We have guys who just started playing with each other 3 months ago. So it's like, and we're playing against teams that have guys who have played together for like 4 or 5 years, and we're competing with them. That's something. All right, let's see, Andrew. And we have so much more talent than those DeMar's years. Yeah, we do. We really do have more talent now. And I mean, the championship year, we had a lot of talent. Even the year after the championship, we had a lot of talent. I feel like this is one of those kind of teams that has a lot of talent. The Vince years with Oakley, Davis, Willis. That's a lot of talent, on that team also. But this is a lot of talent already on this team right now, and we just need to give them time, and we're going to see what's going to happen. Callie, it's almost like the bench have been put on timeout. I know, they really have. They kind of have been put on timeout. They really have, and they kind of needed to be on timeout for the way they were playing. I mean, it's a wake-up call. It's a harsh reality. It's tough. It's tough on the team that has to still play because they got to play way more, and it's tough on those guys mentally that they have to figure out their way out of the quagmire of their own head and how their confidence and stuff like that. I really wish them success, and I hope that they make it through. But not everybody does get out of this horrible point and place where they are right now. All right, let's see. Andrew, in 2 or 3 years, LeBron, Westbrook, Harden, KD, Steph, AD, etc. will all be past their primes, and our guys will be entering their prime. Masai timed this so perfectly. I think that's right. I think that, as more and more of these established older stars go, it's a natural turnover. And we are kind of in a weird kind of spot on the escalator where we, like I said, it's so invaluable that we have these young champions, that we have guys that have rings that have gone there, and they're really important, crucial leaders on this team. That's going to really help us in the next 5 years with winning championships. Oh yeah, because they're young and they're in their prime, and it's an information that can pass to these other guys. And think about it, we get our second championship with Scotty and Precious, they get patched in, and all of a sudden they're that kind of mentality. And hopefully that happens with these guys at a young age also, so that it just continues to give into itself that way. I really see that kind of thing happening for us. We just need to really have some good luck with injuries and continue to do what we're doing, and we'll stay the course and we'll be fine. All right, let's see. Andrew, it takes years and years to lock in defensively as a team, especially under Nurse's schemes. It took half a decade for that Lowry squad to reach championship level defensive chemistry. This is actually a very interesting thing Andrew's saying, is it does to get second nature and do that. And we're already showing that we have a seal out defense at times, an unstoppable defense. And these guys don't even have that much time acquired among each other together as a unit. That's scary because this is the thing. We can get better offensively, obviously, but there are still levels of defense that we could get even better at with things, and we're already kind of a shutdown defense that nobody wants to play. So just think about that, with experience, and they really start to understand where guys are, and they maximize spacing and positioning and really clamp down and stuff, because we're not totally efficient at this right now. We're going partly just on our crazy long wingspans and getting our finger in deflections and stuff like that. Think about it when we actually are purposeful and really dialed in and working as a complete unit in synchronicity. That is going to be a nasty defense, because that can be improved too. And we're already like a top level defense. That's the stuff I'm talking about. The improvement areas are really high above where we're at already, because we're making bad mistakes, rookie mistakes, dumb mistakes. We're not getting a transition where we have man advantage executed. These are all things that get cleaned up, and they're going to add to and we could shoot better. That's just in general. We could shoot better, and that would fix so many problems. We'd win some of these games if we were just a better shooting team. We might have won these last 2 games if we just were a better shooting team. We're not a good shooting team right now. And that is a huge Achilles heel for us because we're getting off of hustle, energy, extra chance points, extra shots, hustle, all that kind of stuff is what we're thriving on right now. But when we actually start hitting our shot or we get our best shooter back like Gary Trent Jr., this is all going to really help. So let's see. Click 2 a.m. AD's prime is nothing to worry about. He's made of glass. That's funny. Yeah, it's true. Dallas commentators showed class. I like Derek Harper. Derek Harper was a great pro. I really liked him when he played for Dallas, like his earlier career before he kind of went to New York and stuff like that. He was a really multifaceted kind of point guard, and he was a defensive point guard. And, you know, they were very fair. They called it right down the line. They were very complimentary of the Raptors, and they knew, they saw it. They see what we're saying right now, that this is a nasty team and there's somebody going to be to watch out for. They were very fair about the game last night. Yeah. I enjoyed listening to them. Normally, I don't like listening to the other team's commentators, but I had no problem with them last night. Tom Duke, everyone is giving us their best game. Don't sleep on the Raptors. Yes, they have to play at a top level. I'm sure if you talk to Luka and the Mavs or Jimmy Butler and the Heat after the games we played with them, they're like, yeah, these guys are no joke, and we're going to be a little worried about them as they develop and get better over the next years coming up. They're not going to be wanting to see us more and more. We're going to see it. Tom Dukes, Callie, great approach. The gratitude for sure. Let's see. Click 2 a.m. You know, I'm mad that we lost, but one thing I could say is thank God we're not the Lakers. They have all the stars in the league, but lose to everybody. Laughing my ass off. Yes. There's always much worse places we could be. Honestly, you got to think about what's in our basket. What's in our Easter basket right now? And I like what's in our Easter basket. If we had to look at everybody's Easter baskets around the league, sure, you could be defending champion Milwaukee Bucks, but really look at that squad and how we handle them and the future for them compared to our future. Or, go look at the Lakers Easter basket like you're talking about. Yeah, our Easter basket has a lot more goodies, better candy in it, all kinds of different things in it. That's much better. So I'd much rather have our Easter basket than any other of the NBA team's Easter baskets because it's going to be fun to see this develop and become what it is because it's going to get better and better. And it's already pretty good. Like if this is our starting floor and we're a 500 team and we're only going to get better – think about it, guys. We're not going to get worse. We're not going to be a 300 team. We're not going to be a 400 team. We just got to stay healthy and continue to get better and learn each other. And it's just going to get better and better and better and better. I know I sound like a broken record, and at different points during the season, I've said this over and over again, but it is really true. It is really what this season is all about for the Toronto Raptors. Let's see. The Raptors' points were spread out. The Dallas points came from primarily two players. Yeah, that's really true. Like it really was three guys. It was actually three. It was Luka, who had my girl said at one point, he's got half their points. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of true. He has 40 something points and they only had like 80 points, Porzingis and Hardaway. Those three guys, that was pretty much it for them. But they have other guys on that team that can step up and get a whole bunch of points if they need them to at different times. It's just that's who went to the basket and got the points for them last night. But we need to get more consistent scoring from more regular guys, not just Pascal and Fred and OG. We need other guys on the team to step up and be consistent scorers night in, night out, no matter what. That's a big issue with us right now too. The Raptors starters on average are 10 years younger than the Lakers. Lakers are in trouble. Yeah, it's like a last gasp, like Space Jam all-star team for LeBron to try and do something. But it's really the worst strategy you can have, honestly, because it just breeds laziness. His team is just full of a lot of laziness. And Stanley Johnson's so important to that team because he's not lazy. He's like the only guy out there trying to do any work for them right now. Westbrook is going to the G League. That would be interesting. I don't think that's happening. Raps tend to out-hustle the other team, but yes, you're right. Need to get shots in. It's crazy. We get so many more shots than them. Like last night, we shot 91 shots to their 76 shots, and we made 2 less than them. And that's 4 points right there. That's the difference. Fred makes a couple more shots. He was let me see, 4 for 20, guys. He was 4 for 20. Even if he made like 3 of more of those shots, we would have won the game last night. It's that close. And that's the thing. You can improve your shooting a lot easier. These guys are shooting pretty well. They shot really well last night, actually. Dallas shot 49%. For a while, they were shooting 58% last night, and they were still just barely beating us. That's what I'm saying. We just shoot a little bit better. We're beating everybody. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so interesting. Anyway, guys, just over an hour. I appreciate y'all coming and reacting to the game with me. Luka is a great player. I know he's annoying. He's cocky. He's a jerk. And Porzingis is annoying too. At least nobody got hurt in some dumb thing like from an elbow or something dumb last night. And, once again, we didn't get blown out. We didn't look like an imposter. We looked like we belong. We hung with a top team in this league. And honestly, they've been rolling. They won 10 out of their last 11, guys. This is not like we're a special team. They're doing this to everybody right now. And they are really a high-level defensive team right now. And we had some success getting through their defense at different times, which is really impressive in itself because our offense is one of our worst things right now, honestly. And down low, our offense is really bad. We rely too much on Pascal to try and get open and do one-on-one stuff, or Fred just bailing us out somehow, some way. So hopefully we can figure that all out. Getting Gary Trent Jr. back as soon as possible will really help. All right, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you for being here with me. Tomorrow, preview for Washington. Hope y'all have a great Thursday. And let's go Raptors! Woo!